Hi, Sagittarius. Welcome to a special reading encompassing the rest of 2022. So, early October until the end of December. I have done these in the past where I combine months when I talk about a specific topic. Usually it's like abundance readings, but this time I don't want to call it abundance because it just people focus on money or they don't realize that I'm talking about more than that. Whatever, lights your fire, pardon the pun or pun intended. I'm a sun in Sag, Mercury in Sag myself. And that's why I chose to start with Sag because this is a new type of reading. I created a spread in my mind that I'm going to be using, but I just want to give a little bit of disclosure. Let me just say, I'm calling this hopes and wishes so that it can be anything that you want to manifest. It might be a new relationship. It doesn't have to be, you know, creating a business or writing the great American or great British novel. It can be anything, okay? Another thing that I want to mention is that I did actually lay out a couple of cards, a few cards, and they were like all reversed because I was counting all the cards out. And I have a rule that I do read reversed cards. Some readers do not interpret reverse cards. I do, but if they're all upside down, which they were, there is such a thing as error, human error. So I'm going to allow for that. I don't want to just have all reverse cards because that really doesn't align with how I feel about doing this reading. And it's interesting though, because we're still in a Mercury retrograde as I record this on October 1st. Mercury will be going direct tomorrow. So, okay, so let me be intentional as I pick each card because I'm trying to remember the order. And I'll tell you what each card represents. And this is more of philosophical thing. It may not yield actual detailed information about what it is that you're pursuing because you know what you're pursuing, but just kind of like the energy around whatever it is. Sometimes we feel very lost and we don't know. Fire signs are supposed to have a lot of ambition. It's interesting. This is fire, but sometimes we're in different phases of life and we're not necessarily interested in that, and that's okay too. So if that comes out, then that's how it's supposed to be. Okay, I'm just trying to remember. Oh my goodness, this is great. I'm so glad. Recently I did a Sag reading and it was like all these cards. That's like, oh God, that's the last thing I want. So this is cool. Okay. And this is my new spread. Okay, so what is it that you want to manifest, or what are the energies around this situation? So we have the Eight of Wands, and this is a situation where you may want to just break out of a rut. I just realized that, this is evolving since you're the first sign that I'm doing it. I think I'll call this a manifestation reading rather than hopes and wishes sounds kind of vague. And so I know that this has been true for me. And how I see the Eight of Wands is that there can be this period. And actually, in that other reading that where I got all the reverse cards, the first card I got was the Hangman reversed. And actually, that can be better. It can be like finally letting go of a useless sacrifice. So if you have been feeling guilty about something or someone, or just feeling like you're being controlled by somebody, you may not even live under the same roof with that person. It's like you break free from that inertia, or even just like you, for some reason, you just can't get things going. That this time period kind of pushes you through. Now, we do have a Jupiter retrograde until November 23rd, and that might be informing this situation. Maybe it takes until then for you to until late November, which is also the new moon in Sagittarius. It's also right after the sun goes into Sagittarius. So that Sag season may be that ignition that you need to light things up. Now, why do you want this? You have here the Seven of Cups, and this is kind of what I'm talking about, kind of like confusion. This is wishful thinking. I like wishful thinking. I like to wish and to think, but it means delusional thinking, thinking in terms that are not really in alignment with actually doing something about a situation. So it's kind of like when people do things that are very, it's like Piscean thinking, basically. This card is actually connected to Neptune, so there is that same vibe that's going on. And, but I think also confusion. The Eight of Wands is like these cards, point to going towards a target. And sometimes when we don't feel like there is a target, we don't have like a clearly formed goal. There's just kind of walking around in a daze. So it's really about learning how to get clear on your goals. And this is something that you are learning for whatever reason that comes into your life. And so I have two cards that speak on, kind of like what kind of things to consider doing to get to where you want to be. One of them is the Queen of Swords. And this is a card of, to me, getting your emotions under control. The Queen represents the water element. The sword represents the intellect. And people don't realize that fire signs are emotional. They always think of water, but fire signs are emotional too. And we might express it differently, but we're still emotional. And because of that, sometimes it gets to be too much, and it can distract you from what you really want to do. And that, is not good, because you have a lot to offer, and you have talents that the world can be healed from, by. And it's not just about entertaining someone or, something like that. You can actually heal other people. So you have to get to the point where you are able to be like that sword that is cutting through the illusion. And that's what the Ace of Swords, cutting through the illusion, which is usually, I would say, other people who are trying to impose their will on you. So if you have somebody like that in your life, and you are a Sag empath in particular, then you may feel responsible, you may feel guilty if it upsets you to declare your sovereignty and not feel like you are obligated to someone else, because you really are not. If other people are trying to get you to believe that you are responsible for their happiness, for their well-being in any way, but see, it's easy for me to say you can't, you have to, not let them do that. How do we do that? That's a very good question. That may differ from person to person, but if you make that part of your mission, along with whatever it is that you want to manifest, that can be really helpful. So that's another reason to get clear. Basically, um, it's the queen, the water element in this, the Queen of Swords is different than the King of Swords. Obviously, they're two different cards. So the King of Swords is like totally like no emotion, just straight decision, like a judge. I mean, I think the King of Swords can be a judge. The Queen of Swords, the queen can be the mother, so there's that nurturing energy. So it's really helping someone else too. You may have to cut off a relationship in some cases, and it will benefit that person as well. For if no other reason, then they will not be able to sin anymore. They will not be able to hurt people anymore, or at least you. And that it breaks that dynamic, or whatever you want to call it, like a karmic bond too. And so I also got the Knight of Wands, and this is actually associated with Sag. So it's be yourself, be a Sag. What is a Sag? A Sag is adventurous. A Sag is authentic. A Sag is spontaneous in the moment. Some of you, like I have a lot of earth, I'm not always spontaneous. I don't like to, you know, I'm just I won't even get into everything that I'm like, because it's, you know, it's complicated. It's We're not just these cookie cutter definitions, especially since we have everything else going on. Where is your sun in your chart and all that. But I will say that Sages are very, like, they tend to be very gutsy, adventurous, cheerful. And if you don't feel like you've been like that lately, then there could be somebody who is draining you energetically. And really what I'm seeing with the Eight of Wands is creative projects, including creating your own business, something that makes you independent, even if you work for somebody else also, that you can always turn to and control. Whereas if you are working for somebody else, you may feel more controlled. Knight of Wands can be taking that chance. If you feel kind of cautious and not sure of yourself, then probably there is something else going on that has made you lose your confidence. Fire signs have natural confidence, almost like cockiness, or at least other people may see it that way. But obviously, like I said, all Sages are different. You might have the moon in Cancer, you might have the moon in Taurus, and you just naturally are very kind of cautious. So what I'm saying is that that's okay if that's your norm. But if you have changed, how can you get your mojo back? What do you think? You have to trace it back to its source and see, when did things start going downhill? Could have been a person that you met that little by little chipped away at your self-esteem. It could have been a job that you thought was your dream job, and you realize it's not what you want, but you are afraid to admit it to yourself because maybe your parents paid for your education and they would be furious. But, that's not really your problem. Their anger isn't your problem. Because when we give without strings attached. If there are strings attached, then it's on the person who gave with conditionally. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Okay, so the last two cards are like awesome. What is coming in? Four of Pentacles. I love how this person's like standing on, coins, clutching onto the coins. He has one on top of his head. Money is coming in. And this is money this is financial security. So how will that happen? I don't know. Maybe this is with your brainchild, something that you come up with. A creative project is going to make you financially secure. Now, can I say it's going to happen on X day? No. But this is why I want you to really be adventurous. Don't second guess yourself. If you have an idea, it could be like an amazing idea. Don't pick it apart. I have the moon in Virgo as a Sag. So that idea of picking apart every intuitive idea that comes to you, that kind of thing holds you back. And then the outcome card. The better it gets, the better it gets. 10 of Pentacles, this is generational wealth. This is affluence. This is money, generational wealth, meaning it can be passed down and inherited. This is actually the inheritance card. So some of you may be getting an inheritance, and that's what it's kind of leading to. That is that financial security is in your future in the form of an inheritance. But it could be something that you generate and you're able to pass down to your family or whoever it is that you consider family. So dream big, I actually don't like the term dream big, because I think that sometimes people dream of, they get the cart in front of the horse. Think about what it is in a very precise way that you're looking for, and how you're going to make it happen. Right now, what can you do? Yeah, of course, in the future, you may have like all kinds of, I was going to say grandiose ideas, but I don't want to say it like that. But when you're kicking off, do something that is possible for you. If you want to write a novel, it's possible for you. You can self-publish. You don't have to wait for a publisher. But some people, what they do is, I have to hire an agent. I'm going to hire they do these things that can lead them in a direction maybe of getting swindled. There's vanity publishers and things like that. And people get caught up in that because they are not being realistic. They're not really researching their, the dream that they have and what it takes and what are the chances and things like that. When you do things, do them in a deliberate way. Don't do them in a haphazard way. And you will see greater results because you're, realistic. I believe in being realistic. I have a lot of earth in me. I'm not like have these wild dreams that, how are you supposed to implement those dreams? Are they even, in the realm of possibility with you at this moment? Maybe somewhere down the line, you will have an elevated position that you can work from. But if you're just starting out, you have to be very aware of what is, the possibilities in a realistic way. Okay? All right. I love it. I love it. Okay, you guys. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a personal reading, like I have life path readings, if a person is truly stumped on what they want to do, if they're totally in that 7 of Cups energy, I have readings so that I can help you to become more like that 8 of Wands. And it really boils down to you. I mean, you have to be willing to consider things that maybe didn't make sense to you. Many years ago, I was working with this psychic who needed some certification hours, and she needed people to work on. And I was about to embark on special education. I was going into grad school, and I was, a mature adult at that time. I had gone back to college in my 30s, so I was doing this at a later age. But I really believed that was what I had to do in order to have some kind of profession, because I couldn't think of anything else. Not being an astrologer, that's for sure, even though it was something I loved. And this woman, this psychic, said to me that's not your path. And I was kind of miffed by that because I knew that sometimes psychics don't get it right. And I said to her very clearly, I said, or firmly, I said, I'm going to do this. I'm not going to just drop out because you said that. I hadn't really started yet, but I told her I'm going to do this because I set my mind to do this. And she said, okay. But she goes, I see you being a spiritual teacher. And, she didn't, really elaborate on that. And I just thought that was the stupidest thing I ever heard in my life because I didn't have an audience. I didn't have anything that I was going to teach. And I thought that I was on a path of learning. So why would I be teaching anybody jack shit? Sorry I'm saying that, but that's how I felt. And she was right. I mean, but it took a long time from that reading to me implementing it. It took years. Twists and turns, as you will. So I truly believe that if you feel very drawn to a certain path, but it's not working out for you, there may be something else down the road that is totally different in some cases, and it might be right for you. But only you can go through that process, and no one, including a psychic, I don't call myself a psychic, but an astrologer, a psychic, a tarot card reader, nobody can tell you what you are supposed to be doing with your life. Only you can. So I don't make any claims to do that, and I never tell people what to do, but I just give them more possibilities. I just call it, planting seeds. So hopefully that this reading resonated with you. You can check my different types of readings at the link below. Have a great rest of 2022. It's supposed to be a wild ride. We'll see. Bye.